All right, here we go. It's episode 28 of Bet Parks Presents, the Odgies podcast with Harry Mays, myself, Jason Myrtetus. What is going on, huh?
Absolutely nothing is what's going on, Jason. It's that time of year, man. It's that time when I used to absolutely loathe doing sports radio. In fact, I once suggested to my program director's dismay and kept reintroducing this year after year after year when the calendar turned to July, that the entire industry should go dark for 3 weeks. In other words, everybody takes their vacations. They shut down, run best ofs, do, whatever kind of replays you want to do. If you have play-by-play, you do that, obviously, of baseball and whatnot. But basically the shows, from the day parts and into the nighttime, I mean, you can do post-game shows if you have a baseball contract, whatever. But the regular talk shows take 3 weeks off, and everybody do it. So there's no advantage to anybody, and everybody just sort of recharge themselves for football, which is now, as we, we'll talk about it, 26 week odyssey that begins essentially this week. Teams are reporting to camp as we speak, and so it begins because there's nothing that goes on. And I love golf. Don't get me wrong. The Open Championship is great, but outside of that, there's nothing.
No. It's the worst sports time of the year.
Yeah,
the reliance on baseball. They go on the All-Star break, the whole thing, and
right.
you're left with the bag, an empty bag.
Right, you're left with Woj, hopefully, kind of half making something up about Kevin Durant possibly going to the Celtics. To feed the ESPN day TV shows for a couple of days until they can start showing live, football from camps. That's it.
So how was it met by the program director when you made that suggestion? Not once, not twice, but repeatedly.
Well, I say it.
Maybe I got the wrong guy.
I did it on the air too. I mean, I would go to the air with this stuff.
Yes.
And he hated it.
Yeah.
And, it was like,
why is that a talking point? You're just telling me to tune out.
You're telling me you got nothing. Yeah, I am.
Because there is nothing.
There is nothing.
I know. I don't even think they should run best of, Harry. I think they should just flip it to like Yacht Rock.
Oh,
and
I like
play
that.
Seals and Croft.
Summer breeze. Yes.
Summer breeze makes me feel fine. Just on repeat.
Through the jasmine in my mind.
I think you just got to pick one song and you're going to repeat it for 3 weeks back to back to back.
It works at the holiday time. They play the same 6 holiday songs, and people listen to that crap.
You're the Bing Crosby,
right?
Wait, I can see Anthony
got run over by a freaking reindeer.
But I could see, like, for the month leading up to it, Anthony could be like, "What's the song we should repeat?"
Right.
Play the Gladiator theme from Hans Zimmer.
The Revenant. Remember when he played the Revenant for Carson?
Play the song. Oh, stop with the fucking song. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he had that Prodigy song, I think, for Ben Simmons, didn't he?
Yeah, Firestarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Unbelievable. He was coming up with songs for everybody.
I know.
I was like, what are we
He
doing?
even had one for that Dario Saric guy. Remember him?
Yeah, it was the guy that did the Scarface thing song. Who was the guy?
Oh, I don't know. It was some kind of club song like you'd hear in like Eastern Europe or something.
In the 80s, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Benito something. I forget the name of it. One step to the yayo. Remember that from Scarface?
Oh, he did that from Scarface. So speaking of Pacino, though, as I digress, Godfather Part 2 was on last night. And of course, it's on Paramount Network. So there's commercials literally every 5 or 6 minutes.
So it's still on now?
Right. They'll show like a 5-minute scene and then there's 5 minutes of commercials. So I was flipping back and forth between that and the Phillies game last night. And I happened to catch during one of the 5-minute commercial breaks of Godfather 2, the big home run, the 3-run jack in the bottom of the 8th or for the Phillies. Stott. It was unbelievable.
Oh, nice.
They win the game.
Yeah. And now the Godfather, it's still running right now, Har, and he's just getting back from being overseas. when he married Apollonia.
Oh, yeah,
Apollonia.
Yeah.
Let's tell people real quick about the sponsor. Let's tell everybody about Bet Parks, because even though there's nothing going on, There's still action on Bet Park. You could bet F1 last weekend when they were at the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard.
Was that
this week?
Verstappen again? Did he
Yeah,
win?
he won again.
Dude, how many wins? 7?
Yeah, I think he's got 7 this year. But Charles Leclerc was leading the race, and he crashed out on a mistake.
Johnny Leclerc's brother was leading the race?
Yes. Yes. Well, spelled differently, but yes.
I thought he was more of a mucker.
No, Leclerc. As the announcer calls him, the English guy, David Croft, he calls him Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc.
Okay, yeah. All right.
But he crashed out from the lead.
Oh, man.
And he had good pace. So,
wow.
But this weekend you have the race in Hungary at the Hungaroring.
Oh, now was that in Budapest?
Yeah, it's right outside Budapest.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd love to go there, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I missed my window on that.
Yeah. You got Budapest and Denmark, all that.
Prague.
Trip. Oh, the
Denmark. How do you get Denmark in with Budapest?
Because I want to go to, I want to go like
Amsterdam and all that. Yeah.
The red light district. But you got that. You can be betting on that. And then they have the summer break after this race until Belgium. But then you still got tennis. You got stuff to get. And futures are. That's where the bet's at now.
Well, yeah, you can get in on your college football and pro football futures. That's really good stuff. I like doing that. I haven't really, digested the numbers yet for that, but that's something I'm going to be doing in the month of August for sure, because I get involved in both the college and the pro futures. But you speaking of the racing, I know you love the F1. Did you bet the NASCAR race at Pocono this past weekend by any chance? Because there was major controversy. I happened to be watching the end of that, the final 10 races or 10 laps. I put my wife through it. I said, we're going to watch this to the end. Hopefully there's not a crash and we can have like a good sprint to the finish here at Pocono. And Denny Hamlin crossed the finish line first, but did not get the win.
Why?
Evidently, there was something illegal with his car. He and I think Busch, it was a Kurt Busch.
Yeah.
I think they were both Gibbs drivers. Were disqualified, and the guy who finished third ended up winning the race. And I didn't stick around for that. I'm thinking, I'm seeing, Gibbs and all these, pit crews going crazy as they do. And I'm thinking the race is over. It turns out the next day I put on ESPN's website and I see that the thing was overturned.
Wow. So their car must have had a legal arrow or something on it.
Aerodynamics probably. Yeah. Something out of whack there.
Yeah. Wow.
So, a lot of controversy.
You would have felt good cashing that bet if you had Denny Hamlin, and then you come to find out that no, not so quick.
Not so quick. But I'm going to take Cameron Young this week to win the Detroit Rocket Mortgage Classic. Cameron Young at plus 1,800 on the Parks app right here.
Wow, that's a big payout, Harry.
I mean, it's decent value. There's a bunch of like him and Will Zalatoris, I think, are going to have a big battle this week. But Zalatoris is only plus 1,400. So I want to take a little bit more value with Cameron Young at plus 1,800.
Okay.
All right.
Do that on the BetParks app. Get the BetParks app. It's easy to use, fun to use, faster to win than ever before. Use the promo code Jason750, Jason750. That'll get your risk-free bet up to $750 for new and existing users, but terms and conditions do apply. So make sure you download the BetParks app today. You do need to be present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to go to camp. And we're going to talk to our guy, Colin Thompson, who's once again in camp with the Carolina Panthers. And we have an announcement to make as well for the podcast. And so we're going to do that with Colin coming up in just a couple of minutes. But before we get to Colin, Harr, we got to talk about the big thing that happened on Saturday night, bled into Sunday, and dare I say Monday, probably still going Tuesday with what happened at the Phillies game. The most entertaining part of the baseball season happened in the clubhouse and the fallout thereof, Harry.
Goodness.
Initially, it's the interview with Jim Salisbury and Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
And Anthony Sanfilippo is right there as well from Crossing Broad. And Jim asks a question, and Castellanos thinks it's a dumb question. The question was just asked,
did you hear the booze?
That
was the question. Yeah.
So Castellanos has an answer, but what we initially see, if we weren't in the clubhouse like we were not, was an edited version of the events, about 40 seconds that Jamie Apodi put out. And the full-length video, I think, was 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Somewhere along that. I've watched both.
I have as well. And I think the context changed when you watched the full interview, because there was a lot between that's a dumb question and then you need to be prepared to answer questions like that.
Right.
And there seemed like fine conversation in the middle of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, that whole sort of the dust up, if you will, came after the session was really over.
Yeah.
I mean, they had already asked all their questions, and the PR person, whoever it is for the Phillies, kind of comes in there, and
it was Rob Brooks.
They're sort of breaking up, right?
Yeah.
But the camera kept rolling. The 6 ABC camera kept rolling, and then all of a sudden, Castellanos goes back to Salisbury. That was a dumb question, and then it started. Then and Salisbury got heated.
Yeah, he got really
pissed. Like he started hitting at him. Like I was taken aback by that a little bit. I don't know what the history is between, if maybe this has been building for some while. I don't know. Castellanos has not had a good year since signing the 5-year, $100 million contract. He's hitting like 248. He's got almost 100 strikeouts. He's got 8 home runs. That's it. He hasn't performed. And the fans let him know about it. I mean, that's the way it is in this town. And he knew that, I think, coming in here. I would hope he would have known that. But, was it a dumb question? It could have been worded differently. I kind of thought it was a master of the obvious. Like, no kidding, I heard the freaking boos. What am I, deaf? Like that, I thought Castellanos, he was a smug and a little bit of a wise ass, but he was just sort of standing back there. You could see he was just sort of, when is this over? I'm going to okay, yeah, that was a dumb question, bro. Like, Bryce Harper years ago answered a question back to a reporter like that and became legendary. That's a clown question, bro, I think was his response to someone back when he was a younger player. And it became a thing. Like, dude, that's a clown question, bro.
And he was also asked about it in 2019 as a Philly, though, a month in, and he said, I was thinking the same thing. I would have booed me as well.
Well, right. When he got booed. Yeah, he gets it. He has since figured it out, for a bunch of years.
You got to understand, like, the player could be pissed off, too, at his performance.
Right.
It's like, dude, of course I heard the boos. What do you think? I'm an invalid?
Right.
Am I deaf?
He said something like, no, I lost my hearing or something like that. It's kind of a wise-ass answer, but I thought the question could have been, hey, did you hear the fan? The fans are obviously frustrated. Are you feeling that right now or something? I don't know.
Pressure from it. Are you adding pressure to yourself because you hear the fans are upset and you're not having a great year? And he could have answered it. I think in this situation, Harry, I think this whole situation, first of all, it made me glad that I'm not involved in any of this bullshit and just looking at it from the outside. But I think there were mistakes made around the horn. I think the way that and I don't know Jim Salisbury at all. I respect him. He seems like a really calm, not a hot take guy.
He's really good.
Reporter. Yeah,
he's really good.
I think he just didn't ask a question in the best terms possible. I think there was relevance to what he asked, but not the way he asked it. I didn't like the way that Castellanos responded. Whatever. Right. You got to understand, players are pissed off sometimes. But I thought Salisbury was out of line the way he came at him at the very end.
Yeah.
Because Castellanos at that point is going off the record and just saying, dude, that was not a good question. You got to ask it a different way and I'll answer you.
Right. And normally I would think the camera's shut off by now.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like behind the scenes footage, if you will, when this whole thing started. And I was kind of surprised that, Jim was pissed.
Yeah.
And maybe there's been some history there. I don't know, but I really respect Jim Salisbury. He's one of the really great ones that has been doing this forever. I'm not here to try to tell him how to do his job in the least, but the way the question came off was kind of like, yeah, no kidding. Of course I heard the freaking boos.
Yeah.
Like, what's your point?
Yeah. And what we don't get is the interview even before that.
Right.
What took place before that part of the interview. So there's a lot of context missing here. So let's go to the next element of it, which is Jamie Apodi putting out her version, the edited video.
Yeah.
And when I watched the edited one, I was like, whoa, that's bad. But then when I didn't even realize it was edited at first. And then I see the full length video and I'm like, this is there's a lot of context missing here. And listen, I'm going to say this up front right now in as clear terms as possible. I think Jamie Apodi messed up here. And I think it became a little clickbaity. And I agree with Matt Gelb in the sense that it lost context. This has nothing to do with her being a female in this business. So all these females coming to her defense, she can mess up. Okay? It doesn't mean because she's a female that people are jumping on her.
No. And I don't know who edited the video. Whether
She did.
Did she edit it for her Twitter feed or
that's what she said.
I mean,
she
her
said,
putting that out there is her job. I mean, that was some video that came from the locker room, whether she was there that time or not, and I don't think she was. That really doesn't matter. I mean, it's news. It's newsworthy. She's the sports reporter for 6 ABC. That's part of her job.
She had good content.
I have no problem with it. But yeah, there was some things lost in the translation, I thought, too, with the editing of the video. I mean, the whole thing, if you watch the entire thing, I think you come away with maybe a little bit of a different viewpoint.
Yeah, it seems a lot less harsh, and there's more to me that goes into Salisbury's direction than initially. And then let's go into the Matt Gelb part of it, because he put her on epic blast. I don't know Matt at all.
No, I don't
know that I've ever met him.
Yeah, I might have met him, but I don't know him. I follow him on Twitter, and obviously, he's been covering the Phils for a while too, and he really looks up to Jim Salisbury, as all those guys down there do. Okay, and it's kind of a pack mentality, as you can see. You attack one of those guys, or remotely say that one might have been a little out of line here or there. They circle the wagons. Okay.
Yeah.
And, but him calling Jamie Apodi a disgrace on Twitter, I thought that was out of line too.
Yeah. I did.
Seriously.
I mean, then she responded and he said, "I'm sorry, you have zero standing here. Congrats on all the retweets. Come talk to me here at the ballpark."
Well, see, that's where the whole thing comes, where you're not down there like we are. So don't be taking shots from the outside, because we're here every day. And I get that, they're very
territorial.
It's territorial, and they're protective of that stuff. Like they're grinding on this stuff, while people are at the shore having a good time, not paying attention to the Phillies. They got to be down there, for hours on end for a hot summer day into the night, getting these quotes. And it's like, now you're going to come at me? Well, you're never in here. Yeah. That's why I very rarely, take shots at any of these people for doing their job, because I'm not there.
Yeah. And like, I get it. Like, you're down, she comes in one day and puts out this and gets all this attention. And like, you're down there grinding every day, sweating your bag off, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like, I get that part of it, but I mean, his job is a beat writer. Her job is a sports reporter, or whatever it is, anchor. I don't even know what you call the gig, but so he puts out that tweet about her having zero standing there. And then who jumps in but good old Mikey Miss?
Mikey Miss from the top rope. Yes. I mean, he was like one of those guys that comes out of the dressing room and comes on WWE, comes running down the ramp and just slides right into the ring, does an elbow drop, and then bolts. He's out.
He slides under the bottom rope.
Right.
Jumps off the turnbuckle.
Right. Oh, my God.
He comes in and he goes, "Some folks take themselves too seriously." Sometimes his lack of awareness is just so like, okay, Mike. Hello, pot, meet kettle. Right. Jesus Christ.
I can hear Jim Ross right now. "Here comes Mike Missinelli. Oh, he's in the ring." Boom. Big elbow drop, and there goes Mike out the other side.
Oh, unbelievable. But great. What a shit show that was.
And Kevin Kincaid's laughing all the way to the bank, too, because this gives him content in the middle of summer when there's really not much.
No content.
Right.
It did. It teed him up perfectly. But what a shit show. Like,
man.
To me, like, the whole thing in total, like, if you want to get your arms around the whole thing's a bit embarrassing to the media.
Yeah, it is. And the Phillies and everybody involved. I get it. But I'll tell you, I think the whole thing started way back. Didn't Nick Castellanos buy Ben Simmons' crib over in South Jersey?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh.
I think that's the issue.
So the tainted plumbing over there?
Yeah, there's something going on in that acreage over there. Yeah. I think that's really the problem here.
Is that where McNabb lived? Did Ben Simmons buy McNabb's house, which now belongs to Castellanos?
No, I think it might be near where Terrell Owens did the sit-ups in the driveway.
But that's across the street from McNabb.
Yeah. Was it really?
Like 2 houses down, and I was in the driveway.
This whole neighborhood, man. I don't know. If I'm an athlete, man, I'm staying clear of that.
Yeah, you need to take the wrecking ball to that neighborhood.
Jeez, there's nice houses too, man.
Oh,
I
dude,
mean, it's a high
T.O.'s
rent
house was a
district.
monster.
Yeah,
I remember being
yeah.
over there in the driveway and Drew Rosenhaus coming
Wasn't
out.
that a shit show? I mean, you
Oh
think about
my
of all
God.
the shit shows that we've had in this town. Well, you know, when times are lean, like the Allen Iverson poon poon pants thing. Remember
Yep.
that whole
Yep.
thing? I mean, you know, and him, you know, throwing Tawana out of the house or whatever. And I mean, I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
You know?
There's always drama in this goddamn market. And a lot of people will say, hey, it's the media just drumming it up, blah, blah, blah. No, there's a lot of drama that happens that they report on.
Yeah.
And this one, this is a weird one as well, to add to the annals of strange sports media behavior in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It needs to be like a reality show. That way everybody gets even more heightened and sensitive.
Right. A 10,500 square foot mansion in Morristown, New Jersey has sold for $4.55 million after being listed last year for $5 million. Was initially purchased by Ben Simmons in 2019 when it was brand new. He paid $2.275 for it and was purchased by one Nick Castellanos, just signing a 5-year, $100 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Wow.
So there you go.
That place needs to be condemned. Condemn that property. Stick the yellow sticker on the front door or the orange sticker, the paper sticker. All right, let's get
gigantic place, man.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
10,000 square
Looks
feet.
like a country club.
That's ridiculous. What are you going to do with all that?
I don't know.
Besides heat it and air condition it.
Like, why do you need all the bathrooms? That's the one thing I always wonder about those big houses. Because they'll have like 5 bedrooms, right?
Yeah,
but then they've got
baths.
like 10 bathrooms.
Yeah,
like,
what do you
need
shower
all
in
that
somewhere
for? Right.
different every time?
Yeah. I mean, what is going on?
How many powder rooms do you need?
Right.
Even me, who pisses every 48 seconds, doesn't need that many bathrooms.
That's true. Now, see, that is a very true statement. You could get by on a 2.5 bath abode, even with your issue. Right.
That's exactly right, Harry.
Right.
All right, let's get to Colin Thompson. We had a chance to catch up with him yesterday before training camp. So here's Harry and I's conversation with Colin Thompson of the Carolina Panthers and now Not For Long Media. All right, Harry, let's get to our featured guest here in this episode of the Odgies podcast. He is headed for training camp and a world of hell for the next 25 weeks. The pride of Temple University, Carolina Panther tight end Colin Thompson. What's going on, Kyle?
Wow. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm honored to be on Odgies and nothing much. Like I said, I'm down here in Carolina. We talked off air. Just getting ready to go, man. Lots of fun, lots of drama in the NFL, which gives us all our drama and that we need for the Twitter sphere, like we talked about. So lots to discuss, lots going on, and lots of fun.
Yeah, we got to add Archbishop Wood to that too, Jason. We cannot leave out the Wood.
Never leave that out. Definitely.
And of course, there was a stop at Gainesville for a couple years too, right?
It was a hell of a stop. Yeah. Good stop there. 2 years.
A hard stop.
A hard stop. Broke both my feet. Met my wife.
Right.
And all our friends. And now we all live kind of in the same area in Annapolis, Maryland. I moved to Annapolis. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So live 200 yards from the stadium there. I know you've been there, Har.
Mm-hmm.
And so. Good time.
Well, now, what is this like? This time period, this last week or two that you had, knowing that training camp is coming, and like Jason said, for the next 25 weeks, basically, your life is football. But what do you do the final maybe 10 days to 2 weeks prior to camp?
Mine's definitely a little unique than others, as you guys know, operating a media company, and trying to get that launched right when it comes to just what I do off the field. And prepare for the season, because I'm not going to have the time I have in the off season to do it. That's a hurdle. So from the media side, I've done probably 10 interviews to backlog everything. We're getting prepared to have, 2 of our people, Not For Long Media, come down and cover training camp. So we're going through the logistics of that. They're going to cover 2 to 3 days. They're going to do interviews with players. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff. And then, acquiring different podcasts, which we'll get into. And then on the player side, it's full bore. For me, really, it's like July 4th, I'm done. I have my last sip of beer at July 4th at whatever, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I kind of pour a little out at the end and say, all right, that's it. And from that point on, I'm like, it's clean as eating as I can, as much water as I can get in me, really try to clean it out and like get really ready to go. But the next, like, if you narrow it down to what it's been like the last couple of days, we had kind of not a player's retreat, but tight ends, receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. We ran routes. We had like 2 days in a row there, running routes and hanging at Christian McCaffrey's house up here at Lake Norman. Just kind of hanging out, getting on the boat, getting around the guys, getting back into it. It's been nice. I usually don't come down. I usually roll right in like the day of training camp or the day before and go. But being down here 4 or 5 days in advance has been great. Getting a lot of body work done. Not a fun massage by any means, but a couple massages where they're really manipulating the body, chiropractic work, swimming, sauna, just getting my body ready to go for what's about to
not
come.
a Deshaun Watson kind of massage, right?
No, not that I know what those are. And,
exactly.
Or any accusations of whatever that may be.
Alleged.
Yeah, but that has come to the Carolina Panthers doorstep because Baker Mayfield is now there as a result. The funny thing is that you and I were on the phone, Colin,
we were
10 days ago, and all of a sudden his phone is like,
oh yeah, that it went down while you were
down. What Baker? He goes, we just acquired Baker Mayfield.
I'm like, my phone's blowing up, and Jack in the back here, Not For Long Media, he's the one who breaks everything for me. Like any Sixers trade, anything that happens, he's like, hey, did you see that? Like any Panthers, anything, he's on it. He's on it like that. He must get an alert. He must have alerted from like Woj and Shefty and like all the guys. So Jack's broke like half the news to us, but that's how the season's going to go, guys. We talked about 25 weeks of just chaos. There's going to be trades. There's going to be players that are getting cut that shouldn't be, right, to the public. There's going to be drama. Injuries. There's going to be players suspended. There's going to be right. It's just entertainment. It's fun. It's fun for me to be a part of. I was telling my wife Sydney the other day, I'm like, you get a roller coaster ride with camp, right? You're excited to see the guys, but you know what your body's going through. But you're excited to compete because you put your body through these tests in the off season to get to another level, and you want to see where you're at, right? And you want to stay healthy and all those things you can't control. You try not to worry about. But I think the one thing that you really like, it kind of hits you like. There's always stuff that goes on at camp that gets you to the next day. Like there's always something going on, a competition, in your locker room or a competition between your group, or someone gets traded or someone gets cut, like who's right next to you in the locker room. You're like, oh man, the human effect comes into it where you really are like, holy shit, man, this I'm in this league. Like I still don't believe it. Like I still remember, going to sit with you guys and you guys would have me at the Fanatic when I was at Temple, and that's why I have my media company and all that, really. And now we're working together, which is awesome. But like, I remember like walking in there and like sitting with Baldy and Bicyc and Hema, and like, that was a great show that you guys did.
In the meat locker then.
I was in the meat locker. Eating Wendy's with Baldy, and
chicken sandwiches and buns.
Yeah, it was great. And I was like in awe, man.
The whole thing.
What else?
It was Vi doing the haka. By doing the haka dance.
Oh God.
What's that called, Vi?
So, but now I play in the league. It's crazy.
Dude, that's got to be crazy. Like I talk to NHL players all the time. Before, we're doing this, I talk to Morgan Frost. And in Canada, obviously, being a hockey player is a huge deal. But let's be really honest here. The NFL, when you look at the end of the year, the top 50 television programs and broadcasts that happen in a calendar year, invariably 47 to 49 of them are NFL broadcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of interest in the league is insane, and you're playing in that. Like, that's bananas, right?
It's bananas. I have a lot of people like to thank it. I'm not going to do that now, but like, I've been so fortunate to have like parents, like literally as a child, be like, you want to do this? Okay, you can go do this. And I know that's cliche and all that stuff, but like literally like, okay, this is what you want to do. Like, here's the roadmap that we know. And then if we don't know it, we're going to find people to help you. And my mom like pulled me out of school when I was a kid. I'll never forget this. The Giants won the Super Bowl. And before that, my mom's friend from Penridge High School, Tim Lewis, sat behind her. He used to shoot spitballs in her hair. Tim was a first-round pick out of Pitt. He was a part of the Lewis Riddick family, all that from Upper Bucks County. And like like he was a first round pick at a Pitt, Green Bay, stopped playing because of a neck injury, and then he coached for the Steelers and the Giants when I was growing up. Well, he actually ended up getting let go by the Giants, but I was still supported the team and followed the team. I always wanted to be Jeremy Shockey. I always wanted to be 80. And fast forward, I walked into my locker room with the Giants, and number 80 was hanging in my locker, and I didn't even pick my number, which is
I've
weird.
two-fisted drinks like Jeremy Shockey, but that's where it ends.
Yeah, I would say the same, but that's where it ends with me too. I'll be honest with you. So, long story short, like my mom's like, you want to be in this league, you got to see what the mecca is, and then see if that still matches your goals. Like that's how my parents always thought. Very entrepreneurial, very progressive, I thought. And they're like, we're going to take you to the Super Bowl. I remember our house phone ringing at like a Super Bowl parade. I went to the parade in New York, the ticker tape parade. And I remember my house phone ringing, my mom answering the phone in the morning. I was, whatever how old I was, 2006 or 2008. I forget which one it was. Maybe it'd be 06. So I was in like 6th grade. And the people, like the principal complaining that it wasn't a good enough excuse to pull me out of school. And my mom is telling the guy like, hey, no, it's a great excuse to pull my son out of school. I'm taking him to New York City to see a ticker tape parade for a team that just won the Super Bowl and he wants to play in the NFL. And, people laugh at you and whatever. But that was like the mentality from when I was a kid. And it sounds cliche and corny, but like it's been like to try to get to this mountain of what it's been. I don't know how some of these guys do it with no support. None. God bless them. One of my best friends have none, zero. I've been very blessed. So, literally, it's how we met, Harry and I. My dad being like, you want to be in radio? You want to be in you just finished a Temple game and you're exhausted? You go introduce yourself to that guy.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Go meet him, and now we're buddies. So it's been a hell of a ride.
Well, what was your reaction to the Baker Mayfield signing? I mean, obviously you guys were on the phone. At some point it sort of had to sink in. You're like, wow, I got another quarterback. Yeah. Because the coaches love competition, and there's a lot of competition in that quarterback room right now.
Tons. Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I was on Ross Tucker early today, and Ross like, here goes Colin, like he's going to change himself from like the normal fun questions when you're talking about himself to like now he's going to be professional and be like, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are going to compete their hardest, and right. I was laughing. I said,
coach speak.
Yeah, coach speak. Like, I really, truly like don't have an opinion on like who's going to win or whatever, because that will all pan out. And I got enough shit to worry about. I can't be worried about other people. I got to protect and do my job. So my initial reaction was our team got better. Straight up. The team got better. Our team's gotten a lot better over the 3-year span. Like, people are up and down and have their opinions of what happens. But the bottom line is like, a lot of like the coaches take a lot of responsibility because that's their job, but a lot of responsibilities on us as players, and we just haven't played well enough. And I think they've gone out and got great players to come and join our team in the core that we have in Carolina that people don't even really know about, which is, I think, a slight on some people in the media. It's like, how do you not know that we added Austin Corbett, Super Bowl winning guard? We added Bozeman, the best center available with the Ravens. We added Icky, the left tackle from NC State. Like, okay, you had a no-line issue. That's what people thought. Well, there you go. Yeah. Quarterback issue. You got PJ Walker, XFL MVP, Matt Corral from Ole Miss, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Like, talk about competition.
Right. And you get Christian McCaffrey back, who was injured most of the year last year.
And we added Foreman back from Tennessee, who like brought Tennessee into the playoffs after they lost like Derrick Henry. Like, he became their feature back. So there's a lot of really good competition. Coach Rule said it. This is going to be a hard roster to make. So that's really good for the Panthers. We're flying on the radar. So to answer your question, Harry, I was like, boom, our team just got better. Like, the way he carries himself, the chip on his shoulder, like that's how he is in person when you talk to him. He's just he's a normal guy. Like, he's a former walk-on. Now, with a boulder on his shoulder.
Did he reach out to you and all the other guys on the offense yet, or does he wait until you all get together at camp for that?
Well, I saw him at the little players retreat we had, and him and I went back and forth via text. I met him at the Maxwell Awards 2000. What is that? Probably 18 when he won it. When was that first round
of the year? Yeah.
Right. So, it was. He's just like I said. He's like a former walk-on who became a Heisman Trophy winner. Like, that's who he is. Like, he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. Is a boulder. Yeah. And like, he doesn't have.
Didn't he start at Texas Tech?
Yeah,
that's right.
Their quarterback room was loaded. It was like Mahomes, what's his name? Davis Webb, second round pick from Bryant, who was a Cal. Yeah. Like, they had like 5 guys in that room, and then Coach Kingsbury, obviously. So it's. I'm looking forward to it, man. I love our team, and I've said that every year, but every year it's like you can see it take leaps. So excited to see what happens.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we're doing together, because you got Not for Long Media, and like, dude, I'm so impressed. Like, you got all that going on. Baker Mayfield, NFL. You're living out the dream, playing in the NFL, but you don't just sit around in the off season. And you just spoke to it a little bit, like the support that you got, and it's very rare to me, Colin. I've been in this game for 28 years. I know Harry's been in it a long time as well. We don't see many guys that are responsible in setting themselves up post playing when they're playing. And you started Not for Long Media. You have your own podcast. You have other podcasts. You got a network going now. And I mean, this isn't something that just your name's on and you are involved. Your feet is in, you're making the meatloaf in the ground meat. You are in every element of the company. And I think that's awesome. And we're so happy here at OG's to be partnering up with you guys, because it's a first-class operation. But how did it all start? Like, I mean, because you're growing this thing, it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and we're thrilled to be part of it.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, we're jacked to have OG's a part of Not for Long Media. Because you guys are just awesome guys and friends, and you have an awesome product of what you do. But it all started when I got cut from the Giants, and I was at home, and I had emergency appendectomy, and I couldn't run. I couldn't almost sweat, really. I remember literally walking 12 miles around Doylestown, to neighborhood. And I'm from Doylestown, around neighborhoods. I walked through the Doylestown airport. I was just walking aimlessly with headphones in, probably listening to your guys' show and just doing something. Doing something, because I couldn't do anything for 2 weeks with emergency appendectomy. And they're like, hey, you cannot do shit, and my agent's like, don't do anything. You can't afford to go backwards. So I'm like, I just in best shape of my life. I get cut because of emergency appendectomy. I can't stop. What do I got to do? Well, I got to get my feet moving, like you said. And I'm like, well, NFL stands for Not for Long. I actually was at Ventresca's in Doylestown, which a lot of football players, get outfitted by. And Frank and the people over there are awesome people, great family business. And was in the store, and I was walking by, and he said to somebody I was with, he's like, hey, NFL stands for Not for Long. I'm like, bang, there it is. And I knew that before. I've always heard Not for Long, but I was like, shit, okay, I'm going to start the Not for Long podcast. Well, it turned in 6 years later to a media company. And we're a media company now that have, acquired just good people in town and friends. We got new podcast, Bourbon with Friends, OG's, Colin Thompson Show, Breaking Bats. Let's see, Two Girls, One League, which is a new podcast coming out that's going to be just killer. We haven't disclosed really much about that yet, but a big radio host in Philadelphia who's a female media host. She'll be joining us with a friend of mine who's a freaking football whiz. And then we have a Brought to Light podcast, which would be a military podcast, and raise awareness for that. We have some other two in the oven too. So we're grinding. I mean, we're grinding. We have an awesome team. I've been able to connect over the years. We've given young kids a platform to create content and work and meet people like yourselves, get hooked up with, people that are professionals in the business and build their resume. And, we have a little media kind of mini Barstool, for lack of better terms, and trying to kind of grow up kind of a hub for people to come and watch content and really one-stop shop. So it's been quite the journey, and we're jacked to have you guys a part of it, because you guys have been mentors in my life, and, you've always helped me along the way, and I got to kind of see how it's done, and really appreciate you guys being a part of it.
That's awesome, man. We're glad to be here. Look forward to, whatever the future presents. I mean, who knows? I mean, this industry, is just exploding and expanding. Oof. It almost seems like weekly. So, new media, I guess, is what they still call it. And it presents so many different opportunities, and especially, with around sports and sports gaming now, which is becoming legal throughout the country. It's the opportunities are endless.
They really are. It's a bear, and we're all just trying to get our hands on it. And it's covered in freaking baby oil and Vaseline, and you can't really, it's like the watermelon in the pool when you're a kid, you can't
get a grip on it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, now we're going to do video content. Well, okay, we got to you need a TikTok, or you're not even relevant. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I don't want a TikTok. I don't want to be addicted to it. So I have our team run my TikTok, because I can only do so much, and I am spread, not thin. I don't like that term, but I have a lot of interest, right. And I think I manage my time pretty well. So I'm like, I don't need a TikTok. So right. we run that, so there's so many different things that go on, the algorithms, like we talked about, above my pay grade. Let's have a plan. Let's bring some freaking good people in and roll. And it's cliche and all this stuff. But that's like how good things are done. And the cool part about it is we can do it all virtually. We have a team of 15 people, 20 people between hosts and kind of content creators and Not For Long. And personally, I probably only met in person half of them. So that's the world we have to live in. And we have a functionable media company with website and YouTube pages. And so it's been fun, man. I'm learning along the way. Our team's learning along the way. Everybody has other jobs and other things going on, but we make time, we make do. And it's going to be a fun year. I mean, awesome year in the NFL. MLB's getting hot at the right time.
College football. Can't wait for that.
Yeah. All that drama with NIL now. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. Every fall, every year, every offseason becomes the next best offseason if we notice that, right? Like, but it's true. Like, people are just trading Kachuk from Ottawa to Florida in the hockey world. Like, that doesn't happen for like another 100-point scorer. And now in the NFL, we're signing quarterbacks to mega deals.
Yeah.
Like that. And whatever's going on, like Deshaun didn't play last year. Right. So like, that's a whole nother storyline. And then
Durant's still available.
Durant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like bananas.
And as of today, apparently the Celtics might be the front runners for Kevin Durant.
And the NBA's like, thank you, God. Like Boston, like this is Boston and Philly is going to be chaos, right? So the golf, live golf, March Madness is crazy. NIL's like the topic that never gets old. So
you got USC and UCLA and the Big Ten now starting a couple. I mean, it's just mayhem. It's absolute mayhem.
It's Big 10. It's more like Big 50 at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Ridiculous.
It is a joke, really.
Oh my God! I remember when Penn State joined. It was like, okay, Big 11. Now it's. I mean, that was what 92.
That was in the
I want to say when they joined.
Yeah.
Joined the Big 10, but it is crazy. Kyle, man, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for your faith in us. We appreciate it so much, and we're looking forward to it. And we're gonna do. We got this one episode here coming out for July, and then Harry and I are going to get back to work a little bit, and we'll go to weekly coming up in August as we get ready for weekly, football. And get the grind going again, and before you know it, we'll have Thursday night football, college football all day,
Monday,
Friday, Saturday, and all day Sunday, and NFL, and Monday night football, and then boom, the hockey season and the NBA season and college. It's all kicking
80
off.
days until the Flyers drop the puck for real. I mean, it just seems like there's no off season anymore.
The barn's going to be empty.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pissed off people. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But let me ask you about that. Like, playing for a team with low expectations, though, as a player is almost a good thing. It's because coaches, and Tortorella does too. But every coach in the world, and I imagine Coach Rule's a guy because he coached at Temple, is an us against the world mentality. That's the easiest card for a coach to play.
Same way at Baylor when he took Baylor over. It was an us against the world mentality.
I mean, we got booed at Temple, and I remember bringing it up on the field. Tulane, we went 3 and out our first drive after we beat that. I think one of the good years there. Last 2 years that were really good, and people booed us off the field. We had 40,000. It was like a good turnout, especially when you play Tulane, or 30,000.
Right.
And we got booed off the field, and he's like, listen to these people. Like, this is the world we live in. So this is all we have. Even when we're at our best, people are still going to, so it's just us. And we got tighter, and they beat the drum to it. Players there too beat the drum about it's just us. And I was like, man, at Florida, it was like us and the 100,000 behind us,
the swamp,
and another million people that are drove into town that are like chucking me beers as I'm walking home, and I played only 10 snaps. Like that place was that place is an incredible place to play college football. And they all are in their own way. I loved playing in Philly; it was awesome. But yeah, man, it's truly us against the world. I think the one thing that Flyers fans are just frustrated by is where's the direction? That's it. If they were gonna tank or be competitive, okay, great. But now it's wait, what? I think that's the one thing that I think people are really, really deep down in
messaging. Yeah, I think the messaging has missed the mark of what they're trying to do, and I try not to get caught up in the messaging. I always say never listen to what a coach or a general manager says. Just go by what they do. But even what they did was a little confusing and mixed message in their actions. So
Well, if you
Yeah.
see those two teams in the Cup Finals play, you talk about light years away from that type of hockey. I mean, that was an amazing performance from both.
You know what the
of those
amazing thing
teams.
about that is, Har?
Yeah,
In 2016-17, the Colorado Avalanche with Nathan McKinnon, Dobby, Rico Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog were the worst team in the NHL by 41 standings points.
yeah.
And then
How's
the
that
Flyers
possible?
gave him a present and didn't draft Cale Makar.
They ended up,
right.
they ended up losing the lottery and drafting fourth. So Heischer goes first to the Devils, who won the lottery.
Nolan
Flyers
Patrick
moved
to
from
the
13
Flyers.
to 2.
Yeah.
Patrick, because of the core injury, wasn't taken 1, was taken 2. He would have been 1 had he not had the core injury and surgery prior to the draft. And then at 3, Dallas takes Heiskanen. And then at 4, just sitting there is Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Who's playing junior A. It isn't even playing in the top leagues, but this dude is just a farm animal on the ice.
Yeah.
And they get him to add to McKinnon and Landeskog and all those guys and Kadri and all that whole thing. I mean, that team is absolutely a total wagon.
Yeah.
And Lightning really could have, made the argument they could have won as well if
3 years in a row to the finals. Yeah.
completely healthy. Like,
They were so
Flyers
beat
could
up.
Not be closer. The argument is like how many of those Flyers players could actually play on those teams.
Yeah, and like you got guys, huge question marks like Couturier coming off back surgery. I mean, what are you at 29 coming off back surgery? I know medical science has advanced quite a bit, but back surgery is back surgery.
I'm optimistic about him.
Yeah, me too.
But like where everybody else,
I think that's a topic for the Stick to Hockey podcast.
No, Aaron's like, that's enough of this. Let's keep it.
The hockey minute
back
is
to the
over.
fun.
The hockey minute is over.
We had overtime, Har.
That's
Nick Foles or Carson Wentz.
Our hockey minute went to a 3-on-3 overtime and a shootout.
Let's talk about the Phillies. Is the team better without Joe Girardi? 6-1-0.
Yep.
Oh, geez,
Oh, man.
know.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we're going to get into that as well. A lot going on in Phillies land these days.
Yep.
Colin, man, thanks for doing this. We'll be a part of the Not For Long network going forward. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Have a great time at camp, man. Good luck and have a great season.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
having
Best
me
of
on.
luck to you.
Thanks, boys.
There we go, Har. How about us joining Not For Long Media? It's our closest we're going to get to joining the NFL.
That's right. Yeah. Us with the moniker NFL right next to our names. Who would ever thought that?
Can we get the NFL paycheck, Har?
Now, I think it's N4L, I think
Yeah.
is how Colin goes about it to avoid any trademark issues. But we're N4L.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Now, can I
Yeah.
get the pension?
Yeah, exactly. Can I get the comp? He's an impressive guy, man. Because
yes, yeah.
he's grinding away on a pro NFL, career,
Mhm.
and he's been doing this a while now too.
Right.
Setting himself up for his post-playing days. There's a maturity to that,
Yep.
and a guy that like we started working with them a little bit ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on these texts with all these people, and they're sending clips and all this stuff. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like a, it's almost like you have a staff,
Yeah.
which is really weird because I didn't think that was ever going to be the case again. But I got to
Staff
know him.
infection, maybe, Harry.
I got to know Colin and his family, his mom and dad, and so forth down at doing the Temple games years ago. When I would do the games, and he always had an interest in broadcasting. So it kind of, not take him under my wing. I'm not one of those guys, but kind of brought him in there and showed him, what goes on. This is, meet this guy, you know what I mean? And then I brought him into the radio station and so forth. And so he's always had this itch. And, I think he's setting himself up, for a post football playing career in some sort of broadcasting, vein. So good for him. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and we're very happy. We're going to go back to once a week starting in August.
Right, getting
ready for the NFL season, and it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll have an even closer eye now, if you will, on the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, what a quarterback room they're going to have. Boy, I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to pan out because I'll be honest. I mean, I know Colin's never going to say anything negative about a teammate. So I'll do it. I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. Okay. I haven't been. And I think, where
are you on Darnold though?
Well, Darnold, I mean, come on, since he petered out with the Jets, you're thinking, well, he's obviously got some big time talent because he was evaluated as a number 1 overall pick. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe going to the Jets, has ruined many a player. A lot of times these players just go to the wrong organizations and they can sort of never get it back.
Yeah.
But he did not look good last year with Carolina. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he got benched.
Yep.
So they don't make the move for Baker Mayfield. It just tells you all you need to know about what they think right now is Sam Darnold. And then they've drafted Corral out of Ole Miss, as an understudy to all this, because there's no guarantees with Baker Mayfield either.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables there.
Really? So
that's where, like, you go, okay, how do they feel about Sam Darnold? Don't listen to what they say. Listen to what they do.
Watch what they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly,
and the fact that they went out and got Baker Mayfield tells you that they're not sold.
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy thing about this is, and everybody knows I wanted Matt Rule to succeed, and I still do. But he could have just stayed with Teddy Bridgewater for a year or two and not done all these crazy trades and given up, capital to go get these other quarterbacks. I mean, where would they have been had they just stayed with Teddy Bridgewater for a season or two and see where because Teddy Bridgewater is every bit as good to me as what Baker Mayfield has done.
Yep. And,
I mean, really.
And obviously more so than Darnold.
Yes.
I mean, he's more higher pedigree guy as an NFL guy right now. Yeah, Darnold comes into the league with that high pedigree.
Right. Now,
but
he turned
that goes
the ball
away
over
real
a
quick.
lot at USC. That was always the knock. He threw a lot of picks. In fact, didn't he play Penn State in a Rose Bowl game or something? He threw a couple in that game, if I remember correctly.
Well, look at the last bunch of USC quarterbacks here. Barkley,
Sanchez.
Leinart.
Yeah.
There's a long history of a lot of college success out there at USC, but not NFL
Doesn't
success.
translate necessarily to the next level. Nope.
Absolutely. All right, let's put a wrap on this. Let's tell everybody about Bet Parks. Again, we're going to go back to once a week in August. We won't be next week. I'll be down the shore next week.
Right.
I'm going down to Ocean City, Maryland for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to Ocean City, Maryland.
Oh, I've always used to go down there. That's where we went as a family in my elementary school, high school days.
Okay.
So I was always going down to the Delaware beaches and Ocean City, Maryland, like that whole strip down there from like
Dewey to
Dewey Beach, Delaware Seashore State Park, which is where we used to stay. We'd camp down there right on the beach at Indian River Inlet, which is about 6 miles south of Dewey. And then I think you get Bethany Beach, Fenwick Island, and then you're in Ocean City, Maryland. Bam! Right there. Yeah, it's
we're going to go down to Assateague and check that out.
Sure, that's further down. Yeah, Chincoteague, Assateague, Virginia.
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely. So looking forward to that. And then we'll be back to once a week after that as we lead into football, the fall, and everything else. And make sure you get the Bet Parks app. Harold, what was the play you had again? Plus 1,800?
Cameron Young on the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. Cam Young plus 1,800 on Parks.
All right, so get that on the Bet Parks app this weekend and start to look at your futures. There you go. Harry's showing it right now. Get in on the futures, whether it's the Eagles or the Panthers or anybody else in the NFL. Both player futures, team futures, win totals, you name it, it's all there. And take it from us. BetParks app is everything you want in a mobile casino and sportsbook. Easy to use, easy to sign up, faster to win than ever before. And right now, all BetParks users can use the promo code JASON750, JASON750, and you get a risk-free bet up to $750. Terms and conditions do apply. So download the new BetParks app today. You need to be over 21 and present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Howard, we're back in 2 weeks, and we'll start the grind, man. We'll get back at it. Maybe some shit will actually be going on.
Let's go.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Leave us a rating and review, a 5-star rating and review. And we'll be back in 2 weeks for episode 29. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.